the cloud. Let's, boom, there we go. All right. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So today we're talking about preparing for homeownership, how to do it, why it's important, and things of that nature. So my name is Kelli Adams. I am a realtor, a Georgia realtor. My husband, he actually jokes all the time because he says that I'm not an Atlanta realtor, that I'm a Georgia realtor because I'm all over the place. And he's correct. And I'm okay with that. So yes, I'm a Georgia realtor, and I am happy to be presenting to you today. We're going to talk about some great things. It is going to be very interactive. So I'll be asking a lot of questions. And so we'll have to just check back and forth. We're going to have people joining us via Zoom, but we also have a live stream via Facebook as well. So we have to make sure that we're engaging on both platforms. So here's our agenda. We're basically going to start with an introduction. So I'll introduce myself. I'll also just explain the home buying process. I'll also have our lender, which is our loan officer today, which is Ashleigh Distin. She's going to have a lender presentation. We're also going to just do like a brief credit overview. We're going to talk about down payment assistance as well. And then we're going to answer any questions that you guys may have. So in case this is your first time, maybe someone is sharing this stream on Facebook, you don't know who you're looking at or, you know, who you're listening to. My name is Kelli Adams. I am an Atlanta native, born and raised in Southwest Atlanta, Mays High graduate. I won't say what year, but yeah. So I am a wife of 11 years, and I have two boys, 10 and 6. I do have a passion for health and wellness. I also love music. I cannot sing, but I love it. My passion for real estate actually began in 2006. I actually graduated undergraduate with a bachelor's degree in real estate, which is very uncommon. But it definitely has always been a love of mine. And I think that all of my clients that I've touched in some capacity can kind of feel that it exudes who I am. I'm extremely passionate about educating my clients because I never want you to come on board with me and you don't understand why you're signing something, why you're paying something, or you're not understanding even the principle of how your mortgage is laid out. So we do a lot of education just to get you comfortable and aware of what you're signing up for. And so hence our home buyer seminar today. So I would say probably the vast majority of my clients are first-time home buyers, probably about 80% of them. Rarely do I have individuals that come back or that come to me having already purchased before. I maybe have a handful of clients that have done that. But there are some that sell and buy at the same time. So I do have a lot of that. So why are some reasons that people want to purchase a home? One of the reasons is for ownership, a place to actually say, hey, this is mine. This is something that I own, right? A lot of times you have a home, but it may not be in your name. It might be, and you might have a landlord. It may be a family member's home. You know, you just want a place to say, okay, I want to be able to paint these walls. I want to be able to hammer in some nails, you know, to hang some photos or pictures or anything like that. So you definitely want a place eventually called your own. We also want stability. A lot of people are looking for stability. You know, you don't necessarily want to keep, you know, moving from place to place. You definitely want to have some stability, especially if you have children. You know, you want them to be in a certain, you know, district for school. You want them to just have some stability. You know, you don't want them hopping and having to get acclimated with new teachers, make new friends, things of that nature. And so a lot of individuals look for home as investments, and a lot of people don't think about it, but even your first home is an investment. My home is an investment. Every home that we have is an investment. And if you think about it that way, you won't think about, oh, I have to put down X amount of money. It's an investment. And over time, you're going to reap the benefits of the investment. How do you reap those benefits? So we're going to talk about that too, because that's the primary way that you're able to build wealth with real estate is by building equity in your home. And so you probably hear that a lot, but a lot of people don't know what equity is. And so we're going to talk about that too. So what are some benefits to home ownership? When you have a mortgage, more than likely you have stability in the majority of your mortgage. The only thing that usually changes in your mortgage is going to be your property taxes, and that's the catch-22, because a lot of times, as long as you have a fixed interest rate, which is important, one that does not fluctuate over your 30 years, then your principal and your interest amount should always remain the same with your mortgage. Now, your mortgage also includes your property taxes, and in some instances, most instances, your property taxes and your insurance for your home. Now, if you change your insurance, or if you maybe make some claims, then your home insurance may go up. So that could change your mortgage as well. But for the most part, it's a catch-22 with the property taxes, because don't we want our value of our homes to go up? Yes, when the value of your home goes up and your mortgage principal goes down, that difference is what we call equity. So that's what you've built. That's the benefit that we were just talking about of gaining the investment, the appreciation of the investment. So stabilities and costs, for the most part, you're going to have a stable mortgage, like I said, unless your property taxes change. The ability of gaining equity, that's a great way of that's a great benefit to homeownership, or a great reason to have ownership, is because of the equity that you're able to gain. Now, the great thing about equity is you don't have to sell your home to tap into your equity. Isn't that phenomenal? So like if you've owned a home for 5 or 10 years and you have $100,000 or $200,000 of equity in your home, in order for you to tap into it, you think you may have to sell it, but you may not have to. You may have other options like refinancing your home or getting a home equity line of credit, which is a HELOC. So talk to lenders, talk to mortgage professionals about those types of abilities, because they are super advantageous. There's also tax benefits to having ownership, home ownership. And the reason that tax benefits are beneficial is because every month when you pay your mortgage, you're not just paying your principal amount, but you're also paying your interest on your home as well. So you're able to write off interest every year. And then you can also write off your property taxes. So those are additional benefits that you have in home ownership. And then stability again. So another word for stability is just to stop moving, right? You don't even want to move no more. You just want to be able to say, this is my house. This is where I'm staying for the next 15, 20, or even 30 years. Some people actually use investments to make other investments. How do you do that? That's tapping into that equity, pulling that out, using that equity and putting down on another home, whether that's a vacation home, maybe it's a rental home, maybe it's another investment property that you want to make. So before we actually begin house hunting, one of the first things that we'll do is we'll get you pre-approved with a lender. This is important because if we start looking before you're pre-approved, we could be looking in the wrong price point, right? So say you're finding all these homes, you're looking in Hampton and you're just like, oh my God, these homes are beautiful. This is what I want. Kelly, let's go see it. Okay, cool. But what if you don't qualify? Or, yeah, what if you don't qualify? We don't want that. So the first thing we do is get you pre-approved. After that, we'll talk, we'll have specifications that we're looking for. Maybe you're looking for a property in a specific city, maybe a specific county. Maybe you're looking for a loft. Maybe you're looking for a 2-car garage. Maybe you're looking for a 3-car garage. Maybe you're looking for a basement. Maybe you're looking for a ranch home. Whatever that is, tell me those specifications. I'll put you on searches. I'll actually do manual searches. From there, we would actually get out and start house hunting. Now, once we start that specification and we start those searches, the other thing that we're going to actually discuss is upfront costs. And what in the heck are those, right? You're going to have some upfront costs. Even if you're using down payment assistance, and I think that's the misconception that a lot of people think. If you think you're getting down payment assistance, you think that you don't have any out-of-pocket expenses when that is inaccurate. A lot of down payment assistance programs actually require that you put down something, usually around $1,000, whether that's for your inspection or your earnest money or something like that, just to show that you're invested, right? So some of your upfront costs, and these are general, one of the first things you'll come out of pocket would be your earnest money. Now, what is your earnest money? This is money. This is like a deposit. This is basically you saying, hey, seller, I really like your house. I want to put an offer in on it. And just to show you how serious I am, here's 1% down. So that's typically 1% is typically your earnest money deposit. So say, for instance, you're looking at a home and it's $300,000. Your earnest money is going to be $3,000. When is that earnest money due? It's typically due within 3 days of the seller accepting your offer. That's how I write my contracts. That's how I write my offers. So let's say we were out yesterday. Let's say we went out house hunting yesterday. You slept on a couple homes. This morning you reached out, you said, okay, I want to put an offer in on ABC 123 Main Street. Okay, great. Here's the offer. We're going to submit it and we're going to give them 24 hours to let us know if they accept. Tomorrow comes, Monday comes, they accept your offer. We have 3 days to get your earnest money in, typically to the closing attorney who's going to hold it until closing day. The great thing about earnest money is that it comes back to you. So you either receive a credit for it on your bottom line as total cash to close at closing, or you receive a check back or, money or probably a check back at closing, if that's how you choose to receive it back. So that's how it works. Now, home inspections are not mandatory, but they are highly, 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 highly recommended. Home inspections are about $400. It really depends on the size of the home. So if you're getting a average size home, something under 4,000 square feet, then you can expect to spend about $400 on your inspection, okay? Inspections could save you a lot of money in the long run, because when you're going in a house, we're not going on roofs, we're not going in attics, we're not going in crawl spaces. I know I'm not. And I'm hoping that you won't either. So the inspector would do all of that. They're checking electricity, they're checking plumbing, they're checking everything that makes the house function. So inspections are not cosmetic. They're not looking for a door that needs to be replaced, or just an outdated fixture, or appliance or anything like that. They're looking at what makes the house function. Is it a safe home? Is it hazardous? Do we have any issues? Any defects? That's what they're looking for. Home appraisals are different. These are required, especially if you are using a lender. If you're paying cash for your home, you don't necessarily have to have an appraisal done. But if you are borrowing money to pay for a home, you're going to pay for an appraisal. Now, appraisals are they're around $550. And again, this is based on the size of the home as well, and your lender. So I've seen appraisals cost as much as maybe $750. I've seen them as less as $450, but on average about $550. So when you're looking at upfront costs, think about earnest money, think about your home inspection, think about your appraisal. Your appraisal is mandatory when you are borrowing to pay for a mortgage or to pay for the home. The reason why it's mandatory is because we or the lender has to make sure that the home is valued truly at the amount that they're letting you borrow money for. So if you have a home under contract for $350,000, it needs to appraise for $350,000 for them to let you borrow that $350,000. Say, for instance, the house appraises for $325,000, but you have a contract on it for $350,000. We would then go in and say, okay, here's an amendment to reduce the sales price. And more than likely, about 99% of the time, maybe after going back and forth a few times, we can get the price reduction. But the beauty is, if you have an appraisal done and the house appraises for $375,000 and you have it under contract for $350,000, you get the house for $350,000. So guess what? You're going in with equity. You're going in with $25,000 in equity, which is phenomenal. Okay. So 3 upfront costs: earnest money, 1% of the sales price of the home; home inspection, around $400, depending on the size of the home; home appraisal, about $550. Any questions there, Miss Lakeisha, Miss Angel, or William, or
No,
anybody?
ma'am.
No? Okay. Well, we're going to keep going. If you have questions and I go too fast, just enter in chat or, feel free to interrupt me. I'm okay with that. All right. So once you find your dream home or your starter home or your investment home, whatever the home is that you're looking for, the first thing that we will do is make an offer. So when we make that offer, be prepared to discuss the sales price, what you want to offer. We're going to look at all different things. Just because the house is listed for $289,000, if the house has been sitting and it hasn't had any movement, we might, and then we look at the comps in the area and we find that, okay, it's a little overpriced. All right, cool. We'll put in an offer that is comparable or comfortable for what we're seeing, what's trending in the area. So never think just because someone is asking for a certain amount that you have to give it. So we'll discuss that, and we'll discuss how likely that is that the house is listed for, the right amount. So we'll have that discussion. We'll talk about the earnest money and what that's going to look like as well. And then we will also discuss closing dates, things of that nature. So beyond that, we submit your offer. Will your offer be accepted immediately? Maybe not, maybe so. Sometimes we go back and forth, and this we discuss, and we call this portion just negotiations. So maybe they don't like the closing date that we provided. Maybe we submitted something that's a little bit under what the seller wants to accept for the sales price of their home. So maybe we're going back and forth regarding those things until we can come to a happy medium. And once we do that and your offer is accepted, we then have a due diligence time frame. This due diligence time frame is generally 7 days. Okay. So does anyone know what due diligence is and what usually happens during this time? I think I kind of have it up here, but just to open up the session here. Does anyone know what due diligence is and what we're typically doing in this time? All right, well, I'm just gonna go. So due diligence is usually 7 days. It can change. I mean, if it's an aggressive offer, if a house has been on the market for a day or two, and we've seen a slew of people coming out and a slew of people coming in as we're going to see the house, we might have to be a little bit more aggressive. We might have to do a 3 or 5 day due diligence. It just really depends. Now, due diligence is your time to do your due diligence, meaning find out if this is the house truly for you, because it could be beautiful, but it could have a lot of defects. So this is your time to actually have your inspection done. And this is your time to actually sleep on it, because during due diligence, you can terminate your contract for whatever reason. You can you can terminate your contract for, you could have a bad dream overnight, and you're just like, okay, this is not the house for me. I just had a bad feeling, bad sign, boom. Cool, we terminate you, you retain your earnest money, and we keep looking. That's the beauty about due diligence. That also goes in the event that you submit an offer, you're in due diligence, you have an inspection done, and you determine that there are just some deal breakers wrong with this home. And when I say deal breakers, we're talking foundational issues, we're talking mold, we're talking asbestos, we're talking like real things, especially if the seller isn't willing to compensate or have these things remediated, because there's remediation for mold, there's remediation for a lot of things, even foundational issues. So if you don't have a seller that is willing to remediate these things, that's when it does become a little bit challenging, to say the least. So this is your time to have your inspection. This is your time to negotiate repairs. Who's going to make the repairs? If the seller would be willing to do them. Sometimes sellers are not in position to make repairs. Why are they not? Maybe they're strapped. Maybe that's why they're selling. They're strapped for cash, right? So in those cases, what do? We talk about having some estimates done. So maybe there's plumbing issues in the home and they can't afford to, have these things remediated before closing. Maybe we have a plumber come out, maybe a couple of plumbers, look at the issue, give us a few estimates. We hand the estimates over to the sellers. The sellers, out of their proceeds, are willing to make these payments. They can pay the vendor directly, or they can give you a credit for these things at closing. So there's always a workaround. There's always an ethical solution. And that's what I'm all about. Okay. All right. So after that, this is where you just maintain contact with myself and your lender, primarily your lender, because at this point, we've already found your home. We've already negotiated repairs. We've gotten beyond that. From here, it is solidifying your loan. It's making sure we can get you a clear to close so that we can close on time. And typically from the time frame that we find your home and it is under contract is usually about a 30 to 45 day close time. I like 30 days, but things happen. All right. So we talked about a lot of upfront costs, but this is a visual to that. Okay. So say that you are, you have a home that is $300,000, right? We talked about your earnest money. It's 1%. You have a $3,000 earnest money here. That's upfront cost. Home inspection, that's an upfront cost. $400 approximately, give or take. We have home appraisals, $550, give or take. Depends on the lender, depends on how large your home is. All of those are factors. So when you're looking at total upfront costs, you're looking at $3,950 of upfront costs on a home that is $300,000. Okay. Then we talk about what is your down payment. Down payments are generally 3.5% of your sales price. So if we're looking at a $300,000 home, 3.5% down would be $10,500. So this is where you can either pay your down payment or look into down payment assistance to cover the majority, or if not all, of your down payment. Okay. There's some 100% financing programs. So if it's not a down payment assistance program, you may qualify for a 100% loan program. So if you hear about a 100% program, that just means you do not have a down payment. Okay. So the difference in actually, that's another slide. So you have your down payment at $10,500. You have closing costs. I usually estimate closing costs to be around 4%, or is this 4%? No, 4% would be 12,000. So this might be 3. This might be, I don't know. but right here I have closing costs is $10,000. So closing costs, that's going to be fees that you pay your closing attorney, your lender, like all the just miscellaneous things that you pay. And if you can see in the parentheses here, it's kind of small, but it does say origination fee, electronic doc fee, HOI. So there's your homeowner's insurance. So all of those little miscellaneous things that you're doing to get your property set up, like your insurance, your taxes, and things like that. Closing costs, they're all encompassing of so many different things. So just from prepaids for your loan, your lender fees, and the fees that you pay your closing attorney. That's all encompassing of closing costs. From there, remember your earnest money comes back to you. So between your down payment and your closing costs, you're looking at $20,500 together. So if you're paying your own down payment and you're paying your closing costs, it's $20,500 approximately to close on a $300,000 home. So remember, your earnest money comes back. Let's say your seller contributes to your closing costs. You have on this, what is this? On this sample, I am showing a $3,000 seller contribution. I'll be honest, most sellers right now have been giving. They've been giving. So $3,000, I feel like I can get you more than $3,000 in closing costs. And it really depends on the sales price and, if we're underbidding on a home. So it's a lot of different factors, but safely, I'll just put on here $3,000 seller contribution. You have your earnest money coming back as well. So your final cash to close would be around $14,500 for a home like this, $300,000. Everything is, everything has its moving parts. So every home has different property taxes and things like that that could adjust these numbers. Also, homeowners insurance, it varies per person as well. So we'll have to get into that for your personal situation, but give or take around $14,500. Just be prepared for that. Any questions here just based on the financial overview, upfront costs, closing costs that's presented here? Am I missing anything in chat? I'll just check Facebook. I don't think I see anything.
No, nothing as of yet.
Okay. All right. So where can your down payment come from? Because a lot of people are like, I don't have no down payment. If you don't have a down payment, where can you get it from? 401ks. Most of them are forgiving. I've had a lot of clients to pull from 401k to purchase and make their down payment. Usually they're not penalized as long as it's their primary residence that they're purchasing. Okay. You can also receive a gift from family. So I have, first-time home buyers, maybe college graduates receiving gifts from parents to put down on their homes. You have that option as well. You can always save and budget. This is the longer route, but it works. So if you're in position to do that, that's always an option. And then lastly, you can use a down payment assistance program. Okay. All right, so I was about to go into this during the little chart, but I was like, no, I remember I have a slide on this. So the difference between closing costs and down payment assistance, and down payment. So with your down payment, this actually goes towards your loan. So say you have a loan for $300,000, you put down 3.5%, you're paying $10,500. That's actually going to be reduced from your loan principal. So it actually goes towards your actual loan. Versus your closing costs, they don't. Closing costs are paying your closing attorney, your lender, and any miscellaneous admin and filing fees. That's what your closing fees do. Now, contrary to what you might have heard, closing is the buyer's responsibility. So closing costs, they're really the buyer's responsibility. It is an honor and a privilege when the seller contributes towards closing. So now, if you're buying new construction, a lot of builders, they pretty much pay closing costs. Some sellers, if you're buying resale, which is a home that someone else has lived in previous or currently living in that home, and it's a resale, then we're pretty much hoping that the seller is willing to contribute toward closing. Okay. Usually closing costs are around 3 to 4% of the sales price of your home. That was a couple years back. Ashleigh, are you seeing anything different? Is it still 3 or 4%?
Yeah, that's what we have right about now.
Okay, that's good. All right, so a couple things, just some little quick questions that I get a lot of. So how long does it take to find a real estate agent? It depends. So it depends if you're getting a referral from someone, or if you're, looking fresh on Google, it may take you a couple of to a few weeks to find someone. If you're getting a referral from someone who you know and trust, it could take you a day, right? It just really depends on the source of that referral and who you're working with. How long does it take to get approved for a mortgage? So your pre-approval usually takes about 24 to 48 hours, but when you're talking about a full approval, you're talking about a few weeks. So you at least want to think about, once you have a contract, we submit that contract to your lender. The lender submits to their underwriting team. It takes a couple of weeks to get you a full approval that way. And it really depends on their queue and how far along they're backed up. How long does a showing take? Now that's tricky, because I've not gone in a house just because of the area, the exterior of a home, and I will do that as long if that's what you want to do. So just know that, because a lot of times when you see homes online, they don't look like that in person. Or maybe you really like the home, but you don't like the community. So we may go and, everything that you're seeing as we drive in, it's everything that you don't want, in your next community. So that's okay. But on average, it takes about 15 to 30 minutes to show a property, especially if you really like it. You're going to walk through it a couple times. You're going to want to see where you can kind of place things. And so, about 15 to 30 minutes. Let's see here. How long does it take for an offer to be accepted? It usually takes about a day or two. It depends. If we're negotiating, it could take about a week, but usually about 1 or 2 days. How long does a home inspection take? And this is a great question, because when you hire a home inspector, expect your home inspection to be about 2 hours long. Okay. If it's a large home, then you may, it's about 3 hours. You do not have to be present for the home inspection. Because it is so long, most of my clients go towards the end of it so that you can speak to the inspector. They can show you some things, what they were able to find. You can ask questions, things of that nature. So home appraisals take a little bit longer. Here lately, they haven't been that long though, but they can take about 2 weeks to get back. And then I think I already answered this question, which was, how long does it take for a home to close? And that's about 30 to 45 days. So here's some buyers' do's and don'ts. You definitely want to know your credit score. You want to shop lenders. You want to overstand the home buying process. You want to understand it for sure. And you definitely want to work with a skilled realtor. Some things you do not want to do. You do not want to change jobs. You do not want to buy a new car. You don't want to co-sign for a car. You don't even want to think about a car, except the one that you already have. That's it. Nothing new, no new credit, don't co-sign, don't apply for new credit cards, no nothing. It'll just open up a huge can of worms, a lot of documentation, and it could hinder your actual purchase from going through. So, do y'all have any questions here? I'm about to turn the mic over to Miss Ashleigh. Man, this has to be the quietest class I've had. I know y'all got some questions. Come on. No question. Let me check the chat. Maybe I'm just seeing stuff. Hold on. So we covered why homeownership is important. What else did we cover? The home buying process that leads to homeownership, like upfront costs, what a down payment is, what closing cost is. Any questions? No questions? I'm either doing really good or y'all are really shy. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and introduce Miss Ashleigh. So Ashleigh and I, we've been partners for about half of a year now. I met Ashleigh last summer. Ashleigh's with USA Mortgage. She's a wealth of knowledge, a great resource, a great partner to have. And I am happy that she agreed to hop on and partner with me today. So guys, if you do not have, guys and ladies, if you don't have paper and pen out, get it out, because this is going to be some good information. Also, if you're not near a paper or pen, you have some type of electronic device, which is how you're on here with us. Go to your notes section and jot these things down, because if you're anything like me, you're going to think you're going to remember it, because it's like, oh, it's not that hard of, like I should be able to remember this. But then at the end, you're going to get so much that you may not remember a lot of little small things. So jot these little things down. And then if you do have questions, we are going to have our information at the end so that you can follow back up with us if you do have questions. So Miss Ashleigh, I am going to I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And let's see. I need to stop, and then I need to make you a host, right?
Yes.
I think I forgot how to do that.
I think you go to participants. I think it's in there.
Let me see, Miss Ashleigh Moore, and then make host. Yes. All right. So you should be able to share.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So we're just basically going to go over just understanding the requirements for a mortgage loan approval. We're just going to really get into the meat of things, because there's a lot of extra stuff that goes into getting a home loan, but the more important things, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, especially if you are just trying to know the simple basics of what it takes to get into a home, that's what I'm going to get into today. So my name is Ashleigh Distin. I'm a senior mortgage loan officer with USA Mortgage. I am part of Team Harper. I'm married, and me and my husband, we have 3 kids, and we have another little special gift on the way. So once again, we're going to be going over the meat of things, which is your employment, credit, income, debt to income ratio, assets. I know Kelli has a section on down payment assistance, so I'll just chime in with her when she does that portion of it. Down payment. So we're going to definitely talk about that again, just in a little bit. And then the assistant programs, which me and Kelli going to probably tag team on. So for employment, some of the things that we are basically going to look for is whether you're full-time, part-time, self-employed, or if you're just retired. For employment verification, we basically just want to verify the worker's income, see how long they've been on the job, make sure that we have W-2s, pay stubs, and just to see that you have that stability. So once again, stability is a major part of what we look for when we are trying to get you approved for a loan. We want to make sure that you are stable enough to make your payments. We want to make sure that you are stable enough to afford the home, and that we don't have to worry about any type of issues, because the last thing that we want to do as lenders is put you in a situation to where you're not able to afford your home. You have a question? Oh, okay. So say for instance, you are working a job and you do have like a gap in that job from one job to the next job. Now, when we ask for 2 years of work history, if you don't have 2 years of consistent work history, that is not a problem. We're just looking for 2 years altogether. So it could be from one job to the next job, but if there is some type of gap, we do kind of address those, because we do want to know the full story for why there is a gap within your work history. And also just say, for instance, if you are a student and you have no work history, but you've gone to college, you graduated, you got your degree, you got a job in that degree. We actually count that as 2 years work history, which means you can go straight from not even really working in the work field to having a job in your degree, now being able to get approved for a home. If you are part-time, we do look at part-time hours. And then we just basically get you approved off of those hours. If you are working more than one job, you do need to be on both jobs consecutively for 2 years. If you are self-employed, you do have to make sure that you are filing your taxes, because if you don't file your taxes, we have nothing to go off of when it comes to seeing how much you are qualified for with purchasing a home. Another thing about being self-employed is if you are writing off everything, um, it's going to show that you aren't making any money. So say for instance, you made $50,000 for the year, but you wrote off 25. We're going to say that you made an income of $25,000 for that year. And every little bit of that counts. You want to make sure that if you are actually a profitable business, that you are filing your taxes appropriately if you are looking to purchase within the next 2 years. So you want to make sure that you have all of that as well. And then if you are retired, there aren't any restrictions on that, as long as we have like your retirement statement showing how much you're going to get paid monthly. And as long as we look at the debt to income and everything, and if your income supports the purchase of a home, we'll definitely get you into a home. So there's no really restrictions on that. So when we're looking at credit, what is credit? It's basically just that 3-digit number that tells your credit worthiness. And it is very important when we're looking at seeing if you are the best fit for the type of loan that you're asking for. So say for instance, we pull your scores, and these are the scores that we get. We're going to get 3 scores from TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, one being 637, one being 687, and one being 702. We're always going to go with the middle score. So you can have one that's 500, one that's 600, one that's 700. We're going to go with that 600 score because it's in the middle. Now, they're not always going to represent as TransUnion being the lowest, Experian being in the middle, and Equifax being the highest. So this is just an example, but I do want to make sure that you are aware that these numbers can change, and it doesn't matter which bureau it's coming from, whichever number is in the middle, that is the number that we're going to go with. Now, if you have a co-borrower and their credit is, let's say their credit is a 740, 680, and a 700. We're going to go with the 700 for them, and we're going to go with the 687 for you. Now, here's the kicker. We are still going to take the lower of those 2 scores. So we're going to go with the 687 still. And the reason for that being is we just want to make sure that we are just basically approving you off of how do you say this? So it's not really going to be based off of who has the better credit, but who has the more riskier credit, because we want to make sure that we are getting you approved for the right amount that you guys can collectively afford. So that risk is always going to be a factor, and we're always going to go with whichever one is going to be more risky. So now we're just going to talk about income and income verification. How do we do that? Once again, it is important to have that stable income for your mortgage approval. And what we do to verify that income, we get 2 years worth of W-2s. We get 30 days worth of pay stubs. And if you are self-employed, or if you are looking to receive any type of down payment assistance, we are also going to ask for 2 years tax returns. So for the pay stubs, if you get paid bi-weekly, we're going to ask for 2 pay stubs because we only need it for 30 days. If you get paid weekly, we need 4 pay stubs. If you get paid monthly, naturally, we just need 1 month pay stub. And then for Social Security and retirement. If that is your only income, we'll search for tax transcripts, but if naturally most of those people typically just don't even worry about filing taxes because they now at this point don't have to. So we won't worry about trying to obtain it at that point. So if you guys can take out pen and paper, because now we're going to do some calculations. And this is how you're basically going to know how much you can afford in a home. So what we're going to calculate is the debt to income ratio. And basically what it is a measurement of a compared measurement of how much debt you have compared to your income. So if you guys can just jot down a couple of numbers of your total monthly debt payment. That's like, so currently if you do not own a home, put in rent for your mortgage. And then whatever other credit card bills that you have, we are not putting in any type of utilities. We are not putting in any type of medical bills. If your student loans are deferred and you do not have a payment, we'll leave it off for now, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. But leave that number off for right now. And then I want you to take that number and divide by your gross monthly income. So that is before taxes and insurance is taken out. We want that gross monthly income. And then once you have that number, you're going to multiply it by 100. So say for instance, let me get my calculator real quick. Say for instance, your total amount of debt is $1,200. That's going to be my rent, my car payment, my credit card bills, my student loans if they have payments. And that's pretty much all I have. And then I'm going to divide it by my monthly gross income. So say for instance, let's say I make $5,000 a month. And then I'm going to multiply that by 100. Am I doing that wrong? Hold on 1 second for me, you guys. Okay, so your debt to income ratio is going to show about 24. So what that means is, for some reason, I feel like I'm doing that number wrong. Hold on 1 moment for me. Yeah, I'm doing that right. So 24. Let me go to this next slide real quick. Let's try to do it from here. So yes, that 24 is going to be your back end ratio. And so when we are looking at your debt to income ratio, we're looking at what your max is going to be. So right now, if you're sitting at a 24, that means that you'll be able to afford a home. You'll be able to afford a home within a certain amount of debt to income. So with this particular scenario that I have here, so right now, if you were to purchase a house, that's $3,000. The monthly income in order to afford that home is $6,000. And then we have what is called a front and a back end ratio. The front end ratio is just going to be your monthly household expense, so your mortgage. So if we have your mortgage at 45, the other amount of debt that you have cannot exceed 55%. So you have another 10% that you cannot exceed. And I know that may be a little confusing, so I'm gonna stop for just a second and see if anybody have any questions on that, because debt to income ratio is a little bit of a tricky situation. So I don't know, Kelli, did you have any questions? Did you want me to go into a little bit deeper on that, or did anybody have a questions? Because I know this part of it is a little bit confusing.
No, just I think that the one that I think is usually mentioned to the borrower is usually the back end one, right?
It
The
is
55%.
the
So
55%.
I think the biggest thing for me to just kind of correlate to the audience is, what does that mean in relation to the loan? So like for FHA loan, I know that it depends on the credit score as well as, so if the credit is a decent score, 640 or around about, what kind of debt to income ratio is what is generally favorable? What are you usually looking for?
Okay, so if we were to take the scenario that's on the screen, we take the $6,000 and we are going to, hold on one second. We're going to multiply that by 0.45. That is the front end. That is how much the mortgage cannot exceed. So that's $2,700. So your mortgage should not exceed $2,700. Now, if you were to take that same number, 6,000, and multiply it by 55, that is 3,300. So your total amount of debt cannot exceed 3,300 in order for you to get approved for this home of $3,000 if your monthly income is 6,000. So if we were to do the difference of the 33 minus the 37, minus the 27, excuse me, we have an additional amount of debt of about $600. So that means if you have a car payment that exceeds that amount, you wouldn't qualify for this home. If you don't have a car payment, or if you have a bunch of debt that's $600 or less, you actually can get approved for this home. So by keeping in mind the 50, and we'll just focus on the back end. Just make sure that your back end, which is the 55 of your monthly income, that is your total amount to debt that you can possibly have when it comes to purchasing a home. And that's what we look at to basically say if you're going to get approved or not. And there's ways to sort of, if you are over, there are ways to actually get your DTI lower. And that is by simply paying off some debt. So say, for instance, you have a couple of credit cards and we're only looking at the payments from the credit cards, not the actual balance. So if the payments from the credit cards interfere with our DTI, we'll look at paying off that item, and we'll most likely add that to your closing costs at the end of your loan. So you'll be paying that at the end with all your other closing costs and not upfront. Okay.
I love that you said that, because I think a lot of people think they have to pay it off beforehand. So sometimes you can roll those things into your closing costs. So
You can. And the benefit of that is because it cuts down on paperwork, for one. Because say, for instance, you go and pay something off, then we have to wait for it to get cleared. We have to wait for it to be updated. And that just takes a whole lot of time, where if we know that we're adding it into your closing costs, you're providing the funds, we're sending those checks off to where they need to go. We know for a fact that they're getting paid.
yeah.
So then, once again, I know Kelli talked about how are you going to pay your down payment and closing costs. So we like to see that you guys have assets. Assets is really, really big because it makes your file stronger. We don't have to worry about where the funds are coming from. It makes the closing go a whole lot smoother and a whole lot quicker. So if we're looking at liquid assets, what does that mean? We're looking at your cash, checking, savings accounts, CDs, stocks and bonds, if you have them. If you have a 401k, we can pull the money from there if needed, or if we just need to show that we have reserves, which is showing that you have the capability of paying your mortgage. If something were to happen, we can use it as reserves. And then again, we have the option for gift funds, which can come from any approved source. So that's like a family member, friend, employer even. And then I know they even throw in like churches and stuff like that, but we can always cross that bridge when we get there on if you need to receive gift funds and what is an appropriate source. So down payment and closing costs. So once again, I know me and Kelli are like beating a dead horse, but closing costs typically are going to be about 4% of the purchase price. And that's 4% plus your down payment, which could be 3.5% if you're going FHA, 3% if you're a first-time home buyer going conventional, or 5% if you're a consecutive home buyer going conventional. But providing the down payment, again, just basically demonstrates to the lender and the buyer that the buyer, excuse me, to the lender that the buyer is financially responsible and capable of saving, and that reduce the risk that we see when we're looking at your total file altogether. And then closing costs are just those fees that are associated with the final stages of your loan. Like I said, I know that Kelly's going to talk about some of the down payment assistance programs, but I'm just going to name a few that my company actually offers. We have Georgia Dream and Atlanta Housing. These are two of the most favorable ones that we have. And then we have some in-house ones that are called Essex and then Lakeview. So just real quick, we're going to go over the type of mortgages and then what your scores and down payments and DTI needs to reflect in order to get approved for these types of loans. So for FHA, the minimum credit score is a 580, and you'll be putting down 3.5%. The DTI at max is 57, but we like to keep it at 55 because we never know what the insurance, well, excuse me, what the interest rates or what the taxes are going to be for the home. So we try to keep it around 55. If you're going conventional, credit score needs to be a 620. Down payment is 5%. And the reason why I just put 5% because typically for a conventional, the minimum is 5%. But if you are a first-time home buyer, it is only 3%. But the DTI is a lot lower. So you want to make sure that your credit is clean, and that will basically help you with your loan approval. If you decide to go USDA, which is 100% loan, you're going to basically be looking in the rural areas, and their credit score starts at like a 640, and the DTI is 41. And then we also have VA, which is also 100% loan for those veterans. Credit score is 620, and they don't really have a DTI limit, but we just try to keep it standard with USDA. So we really try not to go over 41, but sometimes we can. It just depends on the scenario, depends on credit, depends on assets. Like I said, all of those things create a stronger file for you, and it basically will help determine if you're going to get the approval or not. So once again, my name is Ashleigh Distin, Senior Loan Officer. This is my team. This is who I work with. These are also my go-to people. So I have my manager, who is LaTanya Harper, my assistant manager, Stacy McGowan. And so if you can't contact me or get in touch with me, or if we're already working on a loan and I have to step away for something, I have the support to help get us all the way to closing, and there should not be any issues on our part. And then, of course, my information is here, and I know that Kelly's also gonna share my information out with you guys as well. So did I have any other questions? I see that there's something in the chat here. Okay, no, that was something old. Okay. So are there any questions for me? Kelly, did you have any questions or anything that popped up?
If you can go back to that slide on the down payment assistance, do they, I know in my experience, usually with like Georgia Dream, you need like a 640 middle score. Is that the case for all four of these for you guys?
So for Georgia Dream has tiers. So it starts minimum at 640, but of course, when you have the tiers basically dictate your DTI. So at a 640, your DTI is a whole lot more strict. If you're at a 700, it is whatever the max is when it comes to doing a typical FHA loan. Atlanta Housing, I think it is standard there, so there's no DTI limits on that one.
Credit score.
Oh, sorry, credit score. Atlanta Housing, I think, is like a 640 or above. Essex is a 600, and then Lakeview is a 660. So they do
Are
differ.
all these FHA? All of them FHA loan?
So Lakeview is conventional. Essex, I think, is just FHA. Georgia Dream, I think you can do that, either FHA or conventional. In Atlanta housing, I have not done one of those, so I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe, I know for a fact it's FHA, but I'm not sure if you can do conventional with that one as of yet.
Okay. All right. Cool. That was all
I
that I
have
had.
I have a question. I'm Jennifer. How do how do the assistant programs work?
So for the assistance
Mommy, my
program,
mom's house.
for the assistant programs, you definitely want to make sure that number one, your credit is clean. Like Kelly said, they do require you to put some money down. So you're looking at anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500. They're going to look at tax returns because they want to see how much income that you have coming in. Some of these programs are based off of people in the home. Sometimes they're based off of if you're married or not. And when I say if you're married or not, they're looking at how much income is coming in. Even if the partner is not on the loan, they're still calculating their income as part of the total income for the home that comes into the home. But they do typically take about 45 days. You do want to definitely spread the time frame out, because definitely for Georgia Dream and Atlanta Housing, they are underwritten outside of my company. Essex is one that we have in-house in Lakeview. I think that one's also in-house, so we can probably get those done a little bit quicker within like the standard 30 days. But you just want to make sure that you allot that time to make sure that you can get all the way to closing. One of the benefits of using Georgia Dream is they are typically better when it comes to interest rates. Georgia Dream will give you $10,000 towards down payment and closing costs. And if you are in what they call the help field, which is like a teacher, well, if you're in let me not even say a teacher, but if you're in the school system, so any position in the school system, you could be a janitor in the school system, you could be a janitor in a hospital, you could be a police officer, first responder, you can be
Nurse.
any of that, then you actually get an additional $2,500. So they'll give you a total of $1,250. For Atlanta housing, I think they give up to $20,000, but you have to be in the city of Atlanta. And I think if you're in any of the help fields, it's like 25. Essex and Lakeview, they help, but they come at an additional cost. So we would only use them if they are going to be beneficial. If I'm offering one of the Essex or Lakeview, if I'm offering it to you and the cost of using it does not really benefit your loan, we may not use it. So, I mean, they're there, but sometimes they're beneficial, sometimes they're not. And we'll always take a look and do whatever is best for the client at the end of the day.
So Jennifer, one of the things that I like to, and I'm going to actually go over just one slide of down payment assistance and give you my perspective on how things usually work with them. I know, for instance, I've done maybe 2 Georgia Dream transactions where a lot of people come wanting down payment assistance, but once you truly understand like how it works, it may or may not be something that you want. So initially, when I do my buyer consultations with my clients, I basically tell them, they come and they say, I really want a down payment assistance program. Okay, well, let me tell you how it works. Because with Georgia Dream, you will get, is 10,000 if you're not a help.
Yeah, 10,000.
Okay, so you'll receive 10,000 towards your down payment. However, you will have a second mortgage on that property forever. So it's not forgiven. You have to give that money back. You give that money back when you sell your property. So if you sell your house in 30 years or in 5 years or in 10 years, you pay that back. It's no interest on it, but you pay it back. So when I tell people that, some people's like, I don't care. And some people are like, I don't want to owe. So it's really like you're borrowing your down payment. I can't speak. I don't think Atlanta housing is that way. I think you have to stay in the house for how many years?
So if you stay in the house, I think it's 10 years. If you stay in the house for 10 years, it's wiped out.
Yeah,
It's either 5 or 10 years.
I think it's 10.
They cross over. So
Yeah. So Jennifer, to answer your question, Georgia Dream is not forgiven. You'll pay it back whenever you close. I'm sorry, whenever you sell your home
Or refinance.
or refinance. Atlanta housing, you have to stay in the home a certain amount of years before it is forgiven, which means you do not pay it back. Essex and Lakeview, I'm not familiar with.
Those have seconds on those. That's actually included in your mortgage payment, which also is a reason why it may or may not be beneficial for the client, because number one, if we do add that second payment, it could increase your DTI and throw your approval to something that's not approved. And then they are Lakeview, they do have one that is forgivable. Actually, I think they both are forgivable, but I think these are the two that are after like 5 years or so.
Any other questions here? Because I think I have a few more slides just of like little snippets of information that I found beneficial to give my clients on like initial buyer consultations, just like little questions that you don't necessarily think about until we're like going through the process. All right, well, if not, we're gonna keep going.
Okay, so let me stop.
Y'all know that first game come on at 3:30.
Got 20 minutes.
Okay. All right. So we're going to keep this train going. Let's see. Where are we? Okay, I found it. All right. So we've already done the introduction of lender. Now, how many people know their credit score? Just do like a hand raise. What they call it?
Drop a 1 in the chat, whatever.
Give me something if you know your credit score. I'm not going to ask you for it. That's TMI. But I just want to know how many people know their credit score. And if you know your credit score, what type of resource do you use to gather that information? Just put it in the chat for me. Who do you use for your credit score monitoring, or do you know your credit score? Yes or no? And then if you do, what resource do you use? Because I'm going to tell y'all something. Credit Karma is not what your lender going to pull up. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you're using Credit Karma, okay, I'm liking this. Creditreport.com, Experian, very good. Because Credit Karma gonna make you real sad. Credit Karma make you think, oh, baby, I got a 700, I got a 750. And then you come to your lender and the lender do your credit pull. And they like, no, you got a 620 or a 640. You like, what? It is a different credit scoring software. It's totally different. The way that one of my lenders told me is that Credit Karma is like for, I forget the term that she used, but it was something along the lines of if you're using, like if you're trying to get a credit card or something, it's, I forget the type, but it's different versus your lender is looking for your FICO score, primarily your FICO 8, I believe it is. So, kind of be, just aware of where you're getting your score from. Now, a couple of things that I like personally, I see Lakeisha put in Experian.com. Experian is basically this creditchecktotal.com. If credit check total is super close, I mean, almost accurate to what lenders pull, and I know this because I've done it myself. So Credit Check Total is one of my go-tos. That's the second one listed right here. Now, here's a trick with Credit Check Total. Credit Check Total is going to check all 3 bureaus for you, right? But guess what? They're going to want to charge you on a monthly basis, but they'll give you like a 7-day trial for like $1. Do that, and then pull your scores, and the same day, within the same hour, just go ahead and cancel it. It's not going to cancel the scores. You're still going to see your report, everything. But just go ahead and cancel it so that you don't forget in after 7 days, because you're going to forget in a week. They're going to charge you $29 or $24 or something like that. So Credit Check Total is a great go-to because you're going to get the report, you're going to get your scores, and it will stay there. But Yeah, so that's a great one. My FICO is even better. My FICO is super cool, but that one's $39.95 a month, and they have an app. You're on the website, everything is super accurate, and you can go in and you can say, okay, I want to apply for a car, I want to apply for a mortgage, I want to apply for a credit card, and they'll give you your scores because it's different for everything that you want to apply for. So my FICO is super cool. Your freecreditreport.com, you're not getting your scores there, but you're checking accuracy there. And typically you get one free report per year. So freecreditreport.com, that's where you go to get, to see what's reflecting on your credit to see if it's accurate. There's no charge for that. So, really, really good resources there. Generally, you want at least a 580 to qualify for most FHA programs. That's not going to give you the best interest rate, but it would typically get you in the qualification phase. I will tell you, most lenders that I work with, though, they will do like a what is it, like the mock-up, something that says you have the potential to your current credit score is a 580, but if you do X, X, and X, you have the potential to have a 647. You know what I'm saying? I forget the term that they use for that, but
So we call it like a wayfinder.
Mhm.
And it's one way that we can like find like how we can get like a rapid rescore for
Yeah.
the client. So say for instance, like Kelly said, you have a 575 and we need to get you to at least 580, but we were searching to get you to like a 620. It'll give us a few different scenarios on what you need to do. Either pay this credit card down to 30% up, open up a secured credit card line, or remove yourself from an authorized credit card,
Mhm.
or pay this bill down to $100. It just gives you different scenarios on how to get to that 620, and it'll tell you the time frame. So once you do it, it'll probably be like maybe if we are looking for something immediately, it might say if she does this today, we can get it updated immediately, or it may give you like a longer time frame of like 30 days or so.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, so I think that this is super beneficial because I think right here is where a lot of people get hung up. Like y'all thinking about your credit score right now, you like, okay, I probably got, I'm probably under the 580 or whatever. Who cares? Because what you're probably thinking you should do, you probably shouldn't do. So always, if you're in a position and you're just like, I think I have a credit score or I don't, or I think my credit is too low, I don't care if you have a 460, call Ashleigh so that she can do y'all do soft credit pools?
We do. I was just about to
Okay.
bring that up. We do soft
Okay.
credit pulls. Mhm.
So a soft credit pull is not a hard inquiry. That's not one that you're going to even see show up on your credit report. This is a soft inquiry that would allow for her to say, hey, you have a 460. However, once you do this, and this may take 6 months. It may take 8 months. It may take a year. Who knows? Or I've spoken to some people that just needed to do something like that's it. A lot of times you don't have to pay things all the way off. You just have to pay it down to a certain amount, and getting with someone like Ashleigh will tell you, or they will, that would allow for them to tell you what exactly it needs to go to get you to that score that you're looking for. All right. So, uh-oh. All right, so we talked about the 580 being the minimum. 640 is kind of where you can get like better interest rates and also down payment assistance for most down payment assistance programs. And then 680 middle score is usually kind of like, cream of the crop. You'll have options. You usually can go FHA, you can go conventional, you can do a little bit more, and you have more, usually more incentives in that range. So aside from that, so today's interest rates, they're not as bad as they were. The last time that I think I did this presentation, it was around 7-8%. That was the interest rates. It got up to about 8%. Now we're about the sixes. I've had some clients to be at like a 7.25. I've had some at like a 5.65. It really depends on your credit scores, honestly. But some ways around today's interest rates. is really just to look for down payment assistance programs, also 100% loan programs. You also have the buy down that you could do. So some lenders will allow for you to buy your rate down. Sometimes getting extra cash from the seller allows for you to do that. So that's really what I've been taking advantage of with my buyers. Using a certain amount to go towards their closing costs, but also using a couple of thousand to pay their interest rates down. We're going to also talk about ways to negotiate with today's interest rates, as well as the new construction, using benefits of new construction homes. So we talked about down payment assistance. Ashleigh pretty much went over that. There's Georgia Dream. Cobb County has down payment assistance programs. There's also City of Atlanta. We didn't discuss Chenoa. It's one very similar to, I think I've only done one Chenoa deal, but they have two options to where you can have your down payment assistance forgiven, or you can have it attached just like Georgia Dream. So they have two different options, but generally you want to have at least a 640 credit score. Some of them have maximum purchase prices. So for instance, I know Georgia Dream is like maybe 350, has a max purchase price, and it really depends on the county that you're looking. So if you're interested in down payment assistance specifically through Georgia Dream, let me know. I can send you the website. Just reach out to me, email, text me, call me, and I can send you the website. And that website gives you the entire breakdown of how much, like if your household income is over 92,000 or 90,000, then you make too much for down payment assistance. So there's a lot of different moving factors. Down payment assistance sounds wonderful, but you can't purchase over a certain amount in certain areas, and you can't make over a certain amount in certain areas. So whatever ones that you're interested in, bring them up to myself, bring them up to Ashleigh, and we can find out as much information if we don't already know about them to let you know if it's even an option. And we talked about maximum incomes, especially with dependents or just the number of people that live in your household. If they're 18 and up, they're going to count their income. And it usually takes 45 days to close because there's two underwriters that it goes through. It goes through your lender, and then it goes through the down payment assistance. So it takes a little bit longer. So here's some 100% financing programs. So if you're a veteran, you already know about a VA loan, 100%, you don't pay that back. But there's also USDA. I put USA. It should be USDA. So this is USDA loans. This is specific to the area that you're living in. So USDA loans, it's going to be kind of in rural areas. United States of, is it United States? Oh God, what is it? United States, something, Department of Agriculture. Yeah, USDA. So rural areas, this is going to be like Carrollton, Paulding, Conyers, Covington, Hampton. Where else have I been looking? Fulton County, even like Palmetto, some areas of Palmetto. So it's just kind of like on the outskirts, So if you're already looking in those areas, I have a link for this one too. This was really cool because then you can just pop in the address, see if the house is USDA eligible, and it'll tell you green is eligible, red is not. Very point blank. It won't even mislead you. So you just pop that address in. If you're a Zillow scroller and you're interested in a house in Hampton, you're like, I wonder if this house USDA eligible, because Kelli said, houses out in the rural areas may be eligible. So I'll give you that. Just reach out to me. So you have some 100% conventional loans, some 100% finance loans, and then of course your VA and then your USDA. So 100% financing just means no down payment, right? Oh, here's the website right here. So if it's kind of long though, so if you want me to just text it or email it to you, it may be a little bit easier. But this is the website for USDA, just to find out if a house is USDA eligible. Okay. So you definitely want to talk to your lender about buying your rates down. This costs money, but like I said, the best way that I've been doing it for my buyers is getting closing costs from the seller, using a portion to buy their rate down. So if you needed to get it down a little bit lower, or if it's just your personal preference, you can do that. Something in the chat. Let's see. Are we getting a copy of the recording? Yeah. Yep. So I'm actually recording it to my cloud right now. So at the end, usually the next day, I'll send out the replay. So I'll send that out to you guys. So you can negotiate a sales price. So when houses are sitting on the market a little bit longer, that's usually a flag to say, ooh, we might be able to get a good deal on this one. What's longer? 30. If it's a house sitting on the market for 30 days, that's usually like, let's see what we can do here. If the prices are dropping because it's sitting, you'll see that. You can always offer less. I think we spoke about that earlier. It really depends on what the area and what the market is doing. Sometimes people are overzealous and, they think that, okay, well, my house was better than the house down the street, so I should be able to get 50,000 more. It don't work like that. So it just really depends, because if the market truly determines, how much your house is worth. You can also ask for closing credits. Some people are not familiar with the fact that some lenders give lender credit. So not just sellers. Sometimes you can get credit from sellers, and then sometimes you can ask your lender, because sometimes lenders give credits. So you do have that opportunity. New construction, probably about 2 years ago, you couldn't find new construction because it was like, as soon as they broke ground, the house was sold. Now we're finding that more houses are becoming available. Usually these homes takes about 6 to 8 months to build. But now I have one under contract now, one that's new construction that was available like right away. So it's happening where some of them are available now. The thing about it is you may or may not be in a position to make what do they call them? To determine to make those requests that you want, as far as the floors, the cabinetry, the countertops, things like that. If the house is already built, you're not going to be able to select those things. But the beauty about having those benefits of new construction is being able to pick the design. But if the house is already built, you've already missed that phase, right? So some incentives that you'll get by buying new construction is closing costs. You usually can get some upgrades. Sometimes they'll throw in a garage door opener. They'll throw in blinds, because believe it or not, all builders do not provide blinds on all your windows. Sometimes they may just blind the front and you're responsible for the sides and the back, or sometimes they won't blind them at all. So definitely something to think about. Now, some benefits of new construction is that you can, in some cases, pick out your designs. I always joke with my clients, because new construction, you have the first opportunity to sit on your toilet, like you got new toilets, you got a new roof, you got plumbing, you got new electrical, HVAC, everything. So, those are some great benefits, because that it's not old. A lot of times when we're looking resale, we have to look to see, okay, what's the age of the home? And then we have to look, how old is the HVAC? How old is the roof? How old is, have these things been updated? And sometimes those are things to think about. So few other things. Now, we talked about with your mortgage, your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance is also included. What happens is at closing, your lender starts a escrow account for you. And so every month, let's say your mortgage is $1,500, and let's say 1,000 of it goes towards your principal and interest. Let's say 250 goes towards your mortgage insurance. I'm sorry, your property and your homeowner's insurance, and just say 250 goes to your property taxes. So every month you're paying 1,500, 250 goes to insurance, 250 goes to taxes, and every month your escrow accounts just build up. And so let's say your homeowner's insurance is with Allstate. Allstate then reaches out to you and your lender and say, okay, it's time for Angel's, homeowner's insurance is due. boom, it's going to be paid out of your escrow. So every month you're paying it, but it's just being accrued in your escrow account. Your lender holds it. Then they pay your homeowner insurance after a year. The same thing happens with your property taxes. So every month you're paying that $250 into your escrow account. At the end of the year, let's say, Jennifer, let's just say hypothetically, you live in Fulton County. Fulton County reaches out to you and your lender and say, all right, it's time for Jennifer's property taxes to be paid. Boom, it's already been paid every month into your escrow. They pull from your escrow, they pay them. Okay. I don't know how many of you all are familiar with homeowners associations, HOAs. These particular HOAs, it's a catch-22 with those too. I have one, and I don't like paying it, but I like the benefits of having one. And I think that's the thing, right? Because I don't have issues. I mean, every community gonna have a house that just don't care. But for the most part, we have rules and regulations where, you're not gonna have a broke down vehicle in a car. You're not gonna have a broken down garage for long. You're not going to be able to paint your house lime green or pastel pink because there are rules and regulations associated. So that's really what the homeowners association is for. A lot of people don't like homeowners associations because there are fees associated with it. And usually the more amenities you have, like a gate or a gate attendant or a pool or a clubhouse or a tennis center, all the amenities, usually that means your HOA is going to be more. So the average HOA, just depending on where you are, if you're not living in a gated community, if you just have your basic pool and clubhouse, maybe a tennis center, you can expect to pay about $500 to maybe $700 a year, something like that. And the great thing is usually, you're just paying your homeowners association directly. It's not coming out of your mortgage generally. In fact, some pay quarterly, some pay monthly, some just pay annually. So those are some things to look at and consider when you're considering your future homes. All right. So any questions here? We are just about wrapped up. All right, so here's our contact information. My information is here. My phone number is 404-938-1675. My email is kelly@adamsreinc.com. Ashleigh's information, her contact number, is this the right number for you, Ashleigh? Okay. It's 478-318-4836. And then her email is adistin@usa-mortgage.com. Okay. So pretty much from here, guys and girls or ladies, I always say guys, and I hate I do that, but I just want to let you all know, just thank you for coming first and foremost. Also let you know that you can always reach out to us with any questions. I will send the replay out tomorrow. I know that we gave you a lot of information. Hopefully you were able to take some notes. And then if we do need to clarify anything, let us know. We're happy to clarify now. Otherwise, you can reach out to us directly. I'll send that webinar, send the replay out probably by noon tomorrow, as long as I don't have any issues that, getting it downloaded and everything. Okay, so Angel has a question. Do we have hard money lending for investment properties? Do y'all do hard money?
We have some options for investment properties. So if she wants to just contact me, we could talk further about that.
Okay. Very good. Well, guys and ladies, if you can screenshot this, always feel free to reach out to us. At some point this week, I'll reach out to everyone and kind of just see if you have questions about anything that we went over and to see how we can assist you moving forward. Generally, what I do is I'll make contact. I'll just kind of find out what your goals are. Are you looking to, make a purchase in the next 3 months, 6 months, year? Did you just need information? Maybe you just signed a new lease. Maybe you're not looking, anytime soon, but I'll just touch base with you individually, make a phone call. If I have your phone numbers, I think I should, but and just see what your future plans are. And then from there, we kind of create a timeline to see, how things should roll. And then at what point we should connect you with Ashleigh to get your soft pull and kind of go from there. So if you guys don't have any other questions, you're more than welcome to stay back. If you have personal questions that you don't necessarily want to ask out loud, to everyone, but you are free to go. And we thank you so much for attending. Y'all were a quiet bunch, but I'm hoping that you guys got some great information, and we are open to your feedback. Oh, and also I'll be sending out a feedback survey. Yeah, I'll be sending out a survey. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be sending that out. So thank you all. I'm going to stop sharing here on Facebook, just in case we
Thank
have
you.
feedback. Thank y'all for coming. Enjoy the games. All right.